hang on a minute. Over here. I think that's right. I'm having coffee and feeling lively because I don't normally drink it. And this is iced coffee, you can see here. And it's basically lots and lots of coffee with lots and lots of ice cream and a tiny bit of milk all mashed together with a stick blender. And it's nice because it's warm today. And so I'm really enjoying it. But whatever the case, this is welcome first to the third episode on the 1957 Plymouth. And in this one, we finish the cosmetic side of the engine bay, fit a carburetor, do some tests, compression test and oil pressure test. We only had it running for about 2 seconds and shut it down, so I wanted to test all that stuff as well. What else was there? Heater box. Yeah, the heater core. Test the heater core and rip out all the wiring. Actually, I don't do that in this one. I start to fiddle around with the wiring because I'm going to tear it all out and start again. I've had a few people say to me, can you please do an episode on wiring? So I'll do one next, which won't just be Plymouth. It'll be any old car. Rewiring nice and cheap. Save a bit of money and do a good job and make it nice and safe and all that sort of stuff. So that's basically where we're going with this. So, hope you enjoy it. So here's the brake line, the front rear brake line from the Plymouth. I don't know if we can see up there. We might just do that. I forgot to get that plated. I'll take that off. I've got some Ford ones that are very similar, so I can reuse it now. I thought quite mistakenly that this was blocked, this line, but it's not. It's actually all right. The thing with it, I'm going to put a new one in anyway because it's soft. It does appear to be quite soft. So in order to do that, and anyone that watches my videos know I do all this sort of stuff, I just hang them on a tripod. I just use a piece of wire or string or whatever to ascertain how long it's going to be, and then just cut out a bit of bundy. So I'll leave that little stripped off section there to make up for the flare, and of course just tie that around really unsuccessfully, but you get the picture. And then I'll just follow it round like this until I can ascertain exactly how long it needs to be. Stick between my legs. So I'll go around here, and I'll just put new zinc bundy tube on. And I'm always demonstrating this sort of thing, so I don't want to spend too long on it, because a lot of people that watch this probably are the same ones that have been watching the Ford stuff. So I'll just keep going on that until I can ascertain how long it's going to be. And then I can have new brake lines in time for the next video and get the things bled. I was told by the seller actually it needs to be power bled. I'm familiar with power bleeding, of course, but I just wanted to see if we could get away without it. Having said that, it doesn't make any sense why it wasn't bleeding anyhow, so we'll figure that bit out later. And in the meantime, I'll just continue doing this. And of course we're making our new brake lines with 3/16 bundy. I'm sorry if I repeat myself. I do this on the other ones just to hold it down and just unroll it like that against a hard surface, and then we can make our brake line with it and bend it according to how the other one was. You never get it 100% right, but you can fiddle with it and get it 99% right. So I'm just going to go around and do this, and I'll put that piece of wire against it just to make sure I have the right length. So I'll just cut this off with this really bad flaring tool, and I'll take them. I've got to do all of them actually. I don't even know if I've finished the ones in the XC, but I'll go down to New Brakes in Ringwood and get new fittings fitted, and I'll get him to do the flaring too. I think they're all just single flares on the Plymouth, but at least then they're new fittings and it's been done professionally. I've just got a bit of this colour matched red. I'm just going around touching up the top of the engine. Again, you know, it's probably going to be seen as unnecessary. I'm just going to sort of dab it on so I don't flick it off and go elsewhere in the engine bay. But the purpose behind this is to obviously make it a little bit nicer, but when I do the Welsh plugs and get down the sides of the block, I can do that too. And it's colour match. It looks a little bit Chevy orange, but it's just going to look a little bit better. This engine was done a little while ago, not terribly long ago. It's a beautiful engine, but you know, with chipped bits and pieces, it just didn't quite look the way I wanted it to. So things like those bolts there, probably fussy. I'd take them off and get them plated, but I don't really want to disturb it. It's a good runner. The other thing, of course, is down in those areas, down in there and here, in that channel there, there's no paint coverage. So you can sort of reach it with a brush, and because we're using a particularly slow drying paint, it'll self-level fine. So you won't be able to tell that it's actually brush painted, but painting engines with a brush is actually quite a good way to go. It's just rocker covers and some pans that look better if they're spray painted. So I'll do it to a line. I'll do the front and the top, the sides I'm leaving, and when we take the manifolds off and do the Welsh plugs later on, I'll do that then. The light's getting pretty crummy out here. I've just been trying to tighten these gaskets down, and they're a bit tricky because they're inclined to want to come out. So I'm just sort of double checking that they're all good at the bottom. And these ones here, sort of try and get in it. I'll just be using a scriber, the hook end of a scriber, to pull them out as I tighten them up. I don't know if you can see that. Just to hold them there. That one's alright there, I can see that one's fairly tight anyway. But they want to slip back in. They're a bit naughty like that. I tried to get the red paint off the gaskets. There we go, look at that, isn't it beautiful? The light's a bit crummy at the moment. The other thing I'm having trouble with is walking stick down the bottom here. It was all sort of bent up on the bracket, and that's also the bracket for the air cleaner there, so slowly getting there. Nearly missed that, had a bit of overspray on there. That's better. That really is better. Nice. We saw this on YouTube apparently.
Sure.
If you put the cat can't understand English.
No,
if you put,
I know,
I'm
but
talking to the
still,
video.
no one cares. They just want to watch.
Hang on. If a cat eats and you put a cucumber behind it, it freaks out when it sees it.
What about zucchini? Why were you like...
God, I wish you'd driven me.
Who cares?
His
about
tongue is really
talking?
stiff and he can't lick anything.
I wouldn't do it to a old cat because they'd have a heart attack. A couple of other bits. This is the old regulator. I've given it just a quick paint job, just around the outside. It's all original. You know, I didn't want to just blindly replace everything in here. And of course it's got this rather nice cover that sort of sits over and above it. And with a couple of screws. And it just needs a gasket making up between it. There was a cork one there. I'll just make one out of ball jointing. So that's that. I haven't tested it yet. And also I've had these plated, so those fittings in there will look really good. So I've got those three wire retaining bits and pieces re-plated. And also this. Now these are cheap. You can get a Ford one for about $30 or something. The starter solenoid. It's an original kit though. You know, I just want to try it, see how it goes. If it's no good, I'll buy a new one. But at the moment, I'll just give that a whirl. Got our little regulator here. Painted around here, I think I already said that. Interestingly, this is 35 to 45 amps. Negative ground, all the bits and pieces you need are there. I want to put this on. This has got armature, field and battery sort of embossed in it, so I needed to know which way that went, because it does fit both ways. I just want it to be right. And of course I did a little plan before I pulled it off. This isn't crucial doing this sort of thing, because you can use a schematic to sort of follow it and work out where everything goes anyhow. So I just wanted to do it quickly, made a quick gasket for it. This is the last bit of ball joining I had, and it's worth putting this sort of thing back on. And just sort of slides over and clears everything. Now the Fords don't use a gasket there, I don't think. Then we just secure that with a couple of screws. When you make these gaskets, use wad punches. They're very cheap and easy to use. You just put them on there and you get a nice round hole where your screws go and that sort of thing. Just makes it a lot easier and a lot neater. Of course you just put it on and crack it with a hammer. And then we can just secure that back down. So we can line up our screw holes, get our screws, which are plated and look really, really nice, and drop it on. And just, whoops, do the other side. And that way it's neat and it's all sort of done properly. Now I didn't even check that this worked before, or when I started the car. I only started for a short time because I wanted to just make sure it ran. But I didn't do all the tests. I didn't leave it running for any length of time. So you know, at least now we have a nice spiffy looking reg, and it's got a gasket there, so it's waterproof. Well, water resistant. But that's it. That's cool. So that can go back on the car. I'm just sorting through these strings of plated bolts, looking for 1/4 inch ones. There's one there, and you know, some of them aren't done all that well. They're just some of these cars. Well, it's all Imperial. Use 1/4 inch cores. So those ones a bit scratchy, but what do you do? But a lot of these ones are metric, and they're metric because the previous restorer used metric nuts, metric bolts with speed nuts to hold the inner guards on and stuff like that. So there's lots of metric ones. There's another 1/4 inch one there. There's lots of metric ones, which doesn't really matter, I suppose. They still look good sitting there on the inner guards, but the rest of these are metric, I think. There's a 5/16. Is that metric? Yeah, oh no, that's 1/4 inch. So it's just a matter of sorting through. I'm sort of leaving them on the strings for now because it's easier. I can stick them in a sandwich bag, but I've run out of those as well. Alright, so that's all good now. That's done. I want to do these too tight on the off chance it distorts the plate because it's not perfectly level and stops it sort of opening and closing, if you know what I mean. The switches inside opening and closing. Well, I've just wired this up temporarily. I think in fixing up and repainting the starter solenoid, something might be wrong with it, so I've wired the starter motor directly to this. Got a compression tester in and a capillary type oil pressure gauge. I started the engine a while ago, but didn't leave it run for any length of time, so I don't know what it's got in the terms of oil pressure. I don't know what it's got in terms of compression. Now, there's no dash light on it for the oil pressure gauge, anything like that, so I'm just going to turn it over quickly. Just see if we can raise a few details. So we've got there 100 and, what's it, 900, 110, 20, that's about 125. I'll just go around and check the compressions, just to see what we've got. Battery sounds a bit slow, either that or the starter is. And there's another one, 120, so that, hang on, 90, 100, yeah, 120. So they're all between 100 and, what's that, 20? So they're all between 120 and 125. So that's absolutely perfect. It's not high compression, but the engine isn't anyway. It looks like it's got up to 20 pound of oil pressure while it was cranking, but I wasn't cranking long enough to sort of sustain that. I'll just see if it comes up a little bit now with no plugs in it. So we got up to like 45 there. I don't want to overheat the starter motor, but that's really good. That's just cranking. So running, that's going to run at 60, 70 pound. And when it heats up, it'll probably drop down, obviously, but that's all good. That tests out really, really well. Right, this thing's cranking quite slowly, which it did before. This is a very old battery. I used a different battery when I started, sitting on 12.5 volts, which is all good. I just wonder, under load, what it's going to be pushing. 10.4, that's not bad. Just seemed to crank slowly before, but that's given me an answer I like. Right, we can start putting these unions back. I'll just clean them up on a Y wheel and cleared over them with a bit of just clear coat enamel stuff. And it's sort of giving them a bit of a patinory type look, so they can all go back where they belong, and I'll get a new piece of hose for that. Wrapping senders in Teflon is apparently a no-no. Well, everyone says it's a no-no, and even in trade they used to say that when I was there. I still do it because it's going to cut through the Teflon tape, and you can always check it with a multimeter to see if you've got continuity. Just double check, that way you're not waiting for temperature to come up when things are really hot. So just find some metal in somewhere. There you go. As you screw down a tapered gas thread, it'll actually cut through the Teflon, but it'll give you a nice seal. Not just that, it looks good too.
I filmed for about 1 minute and 18
Are you filming
seconds.
it now? Are you filming it now?
I've been here for 120 seconds. An hour. No,
I don't know what to do. You probably walk that way and not even see it.
just looks like up here.
Okay, moment of truth.
I knew you I told you that was gonna.
Alright, we're going to find those other brackets that I had plated. Okay. Right, so let's talk about the carburetor. Whoops, that's the advanced line. I'll make up a nice new one of those, I think. And this little fella here. This is the new carby, which we're going to try on our Plymouth. And it should be identical, which it pretty much is. A few things I don't like. I think I mentioned in the last video, I need to set the throttle body off. I want to burr those bolts over. So it's a matter of taking those and those 4 bolts out there and popping a couple of linkages off as well. So I think I might do that now. Right, so we're in the closest hole. That gives it the most leverage. Let's pop that out. Like that to relax it. We're only taking the throttle body off, so we'll just undo these ones. And I don't like doing this because it means I'm going to end up putting it together with its old gasket, but at the end of the day, I'd sooner that than these screws coming out. They always make me terribly nervous, things like that. Oops, ensure that we're good. So if I just pull that off gently, there we go. Lovely little bit of kit, isn't it? So we can just put a drift on the bench just to support those. I'll just give them a little tap because they're just, I think they're really capable. I've got the right size screwdriver, but they look as though they're really capable of just coming undone. So we want to alleviate that problem. Well, carburetor specialists, please look away. And just fan those out a bit. Happy camper. Right, so that's all done. I've sort of flattened them down and centre punch them just to flare them a little bit. It's very soft metal because I don't want those screws coming out. So I can put that back on the carburetor now. Actually, the inclination is to spring, because the accelerator spring is to overcome that and go mid-throttle. The Carter's great because they have this great big wound spring to keep the throttle closed. Sorry on the thermocline, but these little things want to stay open. So they've got 3 safeguards. They've got that spring on the throttle shaft keeping everything closed. They've got another one that goes to a bracket on the engine which keeps it closed, and of course the accelerator cable has its own expanding spring to keep it shut as well. So, and one of the best things you can have in your arsenal of equipment is a mobile phone. And you can see, I'm just looking down here because I've just scraped a bit of gasket away. Oh, hang on, I'm trying to coordinate 2 phones. Just how clean it is. I've got a light on in there. Isn't that cool? might want to tap through those, they're a bit stiff. Well, that's a bit weird. We've got fine threads at the front and coarse at the rear. I never noticed that. I just thought I'll put it on and I thought, gee, it's getting tight. I'm just popping a little hole in the side of the thermostat. Now the reason is you can't see anything through in terms of light around here. You can't see anything through there. And so the purpose for that is so that when I fill the cooling system with coolant, the air can escape. And that way it won't have a huge airlock, and then when the thermostat opens, you know, water and everything goes everywhere. I want it to be able to bleed properly. It's only a tiny little hole, and it will be able to sort of vent that air out. Now, a lot of people will probably say you shouldn't do that, but I'm doing it. And I've done this sort of thing in the past and it's all good. There's a bit of swarf there, I'll take that on. Now there's a gentleman in Michigan who has the correct one. These actually, that's the original one. Of course, the diameter is the same. The internal diameter looks the same as well. Although this does look like it's going to flow better. Now, this gentleman, Michigan way, said he had the correct one, and if I wanted it, he'd send it my way. I don't know how much he wants, but he's also got a dual carburetor setup for a poly with carburetors and everything, and I would really like that. So if you see this, please contact me. But we're going to we'll stick that on now, and that should be right. At least it's a temporary measure until I can get the right one. I'm just boiling the kettle. This is just a cheap kettle I use when my wife kicks me out of the kitchen for drinking too much tea. And speaking of kettles, actually, this one came up. It came out for $39. It's a metal one with the gauge and all this sort of stuff. I bought it because I don't need it at the moment, but originally I intended to convert this corner of the garage, probably 5 years ago I first thought of this, and converting it into sort of a 50s / 60s kitchen sort of area. So it looks cool and I can use it as a set and all this sort of stuff. Wiring thing for the Plymouth. Check this out. This is a Wolseley 680 fan, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I just found it at the chook shed before. The chook shed's where our club meets to you know, do various works on the cars and so forth. Now, this is a later one, so it would be 1956 or something like that. Might be able to use it on the MG, or I've got an Austin I can use it on as well. Beautiful looking kit. The early ones have a like a circular heater core, if you like, with a fan, an axial flow fan, which is just a conventional type propeller fan in the end, which sort of pushes the air out. They're really good, very, very hard to get. This is sort of more a centrifugal fan, but it just aluminium casing. It looks absolutely gorgeous. So I've snaffled this. I haven't paid for it yet, but I intend to use it. So the kettle's boiled. Pour the boiling water in here. Let's see how this thermostat behaves. This is a thermostat that's not new, at least. I didn't buy it. Let's make sure it opens. So we'll pick it up with some needle nose pliers and we'll drop him in. That water is well and truly hot enough. While I'm waiting. That must be the first time I bought a kettle for something other than tea for a long time. And we can see it's all nice and open at the side. Now sometimes when you put these things in, it can be confusing feeling where the edge of the gasket is and where the lip of the thermostat is. There's a bit of swarf there. Now, I've just got a bit of a spring with some vice grips holding it there, just so I know it's central. And I'm not going to bother putting Permatex here because it's a brand new machine service anyway. I put it on the block because the block's old. Well, the block's older than me, and I'm old. And this will just hold it in place. Well, good on you, Pete. I've just dropped it. I'll just hold it while I place it down. Once it's placed down, I don't care. It's in position. And I'll stick some bolts in. That way I just know it's perfect. I mean, you could look down there and see that it's centralised anyway, but come in. I've put the air filter on. Should I put the air cleaner on, and it needs painting. It's got runs and all sorts of stuff through it, but it's all good for now. Right, we've got this bypass hose which is too big, and it was sort of rammed over and clamped right up. You can see how distorted it is. I've found this piece of Aussie hose, which is from a Ford. Actually, there's a VC Commodore one a bit like this too. I'm not sure what that's from. But on the Cleveland, of course, you've got your water pump down there with the design to sort of wrap around like that. But I'm going to try and, I was going to cut it short. I reckon we might be able to get away with using this. And you know what, if it fails and crashes and burns badly, then my fault. Yes, stay there. Yeah, maybe not. I don't think that's going to flow as well. I might have to get another piece. I'll leave it there for now. Deal with it later. Right, so this is the heater core out of the Plymouth, and I'm sort of hoping it's going to be alright because I'd like to just throw it back in, but of course if you look at it, it looks like something out of a beehive. It's a very old-fashioned sort of design. And so what I'm going to do is I've got a couple of bits of hose. You could use just the blank offs like I've used on the 351 engine on the engine stand for the heater pipes. They're purpose made for blocking this sort of thing up. But I've run out. So what I'm going to do is I've got a Schrader valve jammed in a piece of heater hose with a 20-cent clip. I'm just going to tighten that up a bit. I'll put it over here, tighten that up. Right, so she's all ready. I should have put the Schrader on the longer piece. It doesn't matter though. The idea of this, of course, we're going to stick about 10 pounds of pressure in the end. Hopefully it holds it. If it looks like it's holding it, we'll dunk it in water, make sure there's no bubbles, and if that's the case, we can put it back in the car. Now, I'm not expecting anything great about this because it was disconnected in the car and it looked like it had been disconnected for a long time. But having said that, there's no green oxidization or anything around it to signify that it's been leaking. It looks really good. So, fingers crossed. I hate to think how much that'll cost to replace too. I'm not using the compressor. I want something a bit gentler than that, so I'm just going to use a little hand pump. How do you get this on? It's leaking in here. Damn. Not holding pressure at all. Oh, what a pity. I thought I was going to get away with that. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Might only be the one leak, huh? I wonder if I can dig it out and solder it up. Need a bit more. It looks actually like it's got multiple leaks. It's leaking all over the place. I mean, I can put more water in and we're going to see more. There's a bit there. I can't do anything with that. If it was just one of them, you could isolate it, solder it up, and then if you hold sort of 13, 14 pounds of pressure, you could use it. This is completely unusable. So, it means perhaps, I'll take this out, I might have to either, I imagine, fab up a new plate and just put a Falcon or Commodore one or something in. I imagine a Plymouth one's going to cost the earth, if you can find one. And even then, I'm not prepared to get a second-hand one. I want a new one. So we're leaving the heater out for now. These videos make this look really red. It's not that red. I think it's because we're in half light. And I'm just going to pop this throttle linkage on, and it's got a rubber bush, so I'm going to use rubber grease. Just around that bush there. You wouldn't use a mineral grease because it'll just eat the rubber away. And it still appears to be in really healthy nick, so I'm just going to lubricate that a bit. So the colour of this thing looks bright red in these videos, but it's actually not. It's like medium red. It's not as red as the car is. It's more orange than the car is. So this is the throttle linkage. It sort of goes in through the back. I've got wide. This is all being replaced actually. I'm going to do a special video on just doing wiring. What have we got? We've got a split pin and a washer, if I can get it out, because my hands are slippery. And where's the split Okay, I've just got to put that thing back. There we go. And that will hold it. I'm a bit dubious about, oops. I'm a bit dubious. Why can't they come in? There we go. About the, about this linkage. Just loosen that off. About the spring, sorry. I'm not concentrating. So I'm going to have to, because that's not working. It's no good. So it pushes to open. Anyway, look, it doesn't work. I'll put this in. There's nothing inside of it. It gets it off the bench. I've also bought these leads. These are universal 45-degree angle ones. They'll fit down here quite well. If I can stick them on a plug. And of course they come with their own set of sort of retainers, if you know what I mean, so I can cut those to length and put them there and it'll all look tidy. These are only cheap, and of course they've also got the numbers on them. That's not number 3, by the way, but at least then it will look tidier than what was there before. I'm just trying to see how well the boots fit. So it's all getting there slowly. There we go, that's really good. That fits really well. So we'll deal with that next time, and we'll sort this business. I don't know what the story with that is. But so the next video is going to be all about wiring. That's not wiring. And some of the things we need to do in order to effect a good wiring loom. Of course, we've got to use our diagrams, which I've lifted straight out of a manual. I managed to get hold of this manual. This is a reprint of the original 57-58 Plymouth manual. It is absolutely brilliant. It is so comprehensive. It just goes into everything on these cars, which is what it's supposed to do. Of course, there's a lot on wiring too, which is what we're going to address next time. And it's all up the back anyway. What I've done, because it's such a pristine new manual, it even goes into the dual carburetors too, which I'm interested in. The gentleman, the American gentleman who has one of these, that contacted me, I'm most keen to hear back from him, but it goes into all this stuff. I'm just trying to find out where it is. Oh, look at that. Yum. Anyway, in this, I've photocopied these wiring diagrams, and what they are essentially is they're the same sort of thing as this one, which I lifted off the internet, but they're breakdowns that go into the different parts and circuits of the car. And so what we're going to do in the next chapter is rewire the engine bay and under the dash, because I'm not happy with it. And of course I've taken a list of all the wiring colours that I need and the ones I have. Nice motorbike. And of course we'll make a start on that. Now I want this car protected with fuses. I bought this one through MG Sales and Service for 25 bucks delivered, and you can see it uses our nice glass fuses. It's got the cover on it, it looks period correct. You can get these fuse covers with blade fuses, and they've got LEDs, all sorts of stuff in them. But this is actually the way to go as far as I'm concerned. You put 2 spare fuses there, and of course it just clicks in. And so I want to use this. Now we can mess with this a little bit. It's got a little bit of buzz bar there, so these two you can take off a common feed if we want to. We can extend that to this one, so we can have common feed for 3 circuits and then 1 independent, or whatever. It doesn't matter. We'll figure this out as time goes on, and of course a few other bits and pieces too. So the next chapter is not going to be really about Plymouth. It's just going to be about wiring a car. So it'll be titled something like "How to Rewire Your Car for 80 bucks" or something like that. As far as this thing's concerned, I'm not too fussed about it. As I said, I can make a new sort of mount for it. It's just a piece of steel, and put a Falcon or Commodore or Gemini or something heater core in there. They're going to be smaller. Alternatively, we can just strap one to behind it or carve that out and mount one in there, but I'd sooner make a proper thing for it. And of course then I can mount up rigid lines to come out in the same place, and we'll get out of it that way. But rebuilding that one, I don't know any other vehicle that would have one that size, and I imagine it'd be exceedingly expensive to do. So engine bay is looking lovely. You can see these markings. I've just clear coated over those. They look absolutely exquisite, I reckon. We'll put this piece of buzz bar back, wire all this back up, You can see how rigid and horrible this is. I can't even bend that, or virtually not bend it. It's had it. And the same with all this stuff down here. So that's all looking tidy, but the wiring looks dreadful. So, as far as the engine's concerned, I've got to sort this out. Our bracket here is a little bit wrong. I made that up in about 5 minutes. I should have actually had that mounted more vertically. No, I shouldn't have, because that wouldn't have even reached. I'm out about 8 mil, 5 mil, something like that, because that's got to go further back, as far back as it can go. And it worries me actually that it doesn't snap back anyway. It's a little bit funny. So I haven't done that split pin yet, anything like that. So heater box is in, but it's empty as I said before. But the rest of it's all good. And it's actually starting to get there. Got our horns, we've got to test our horns. We can take the lids off that and adjust the diaphragms if they don't work properly. I've only ever had mixed success doing that though. I'm not sure how good that's going to be. And I've also got to make a new fuel line. I've got to put a new one in. And originally, if you look under here, that's for the PCV valve on a more modern engine. They had the distributed advance plugged into that, which would have been useless, so I'll block that off and run the advance from there where it's meant to go. I've left the inner guard off, so I can reach in here to get to the brakes again. I haven't even cleaned all that off yet. So, we're still a work in progress. So that's it for this one. In the next one, as I said at the beginning, we're going to tear out all this stuff and start again. I'll put that back, by the way, because I think it looks cool, but it'll give me a good heads up of where I'm going, and we'll make it nice and, well, better than what it is. So, drive safely, enjoy Classic, and I'll see you later. Ta-da!